3.
Oh man, Cars 3, the newest Pixar movie, just came out last week. Today, Ben and I are going to give our spoiler review. We have each seen it twice, once in 2D, once in 3D, and we're going to try and determine, is Cars 3 the best Cars movie?
Right out of the gate, I feel like we have to discuss sort of like the initial reactions, gut response, like, what did you think? Well, I mean, like, after the preliminary viewing, so we've got like our first viewing that where we just go as spectators.
Right.
We don't have notebooks, we're just watching to watch. What was your like walk out of the theater feeling?
I mean, I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like it. It was interesting. People kept like, I feel like you and Beth kept asking me like, oh, so what do you think? What do you think? And I kept being like it took me a while to collect my thoughts on it.
No, I completely know what you mean. Because I think I sort of had the same thing, like where I was almost unsure of what my reaction was. Like I feel like we're at the point now where we like dissect movies so heavily.
Sure.
Where, like I needed to spend more time figuring out like how I felt about certain things. Because in this movie, I would say I did not have quite that same like tear jerk moment that like a lot of the other recent Pixar movies have like brought out. Even The Good Dinosaur, which I wouldn't have classified as like maybe quite as good of a movie as this one was, had a better like gut wrench moment though.
Sure. So yeah, I think even just the fact that it took a while to collect your thoughts says something about the reaction. That's a reaction in and of itself.
Right. No, I think
it's not like Inside Out where you walk out and you're like, man,
that was an amazing movie.
Amazing movie. It was still good. I still liked Cars 3.
Yes.
That's where we're coming from.
Right. Okay.
On this. So let's just start right at the beginning. Well, did you think it was better in 2D or 3D? Or did it matter?
I'm still not much of a fan of 3D movies. I feel like I think the point of 3D is to forget the fact that you're almost even in the theater. Like, the point is to be so immersive. I have not had that experience since, like, maybe Avatar or possibly Up.
Up and Avatar by two examples as well.
Yeah.
I'll say Cars 3 looks better in 3D, but I don't think it made me enjoy the movie more. Whereas I would say Up, actually, I enjoyed the movie more in 3D.
Yeah, no, I think the color, one
so
thing, it's just the spectrum was incredible. But so I don't think that it was something that I would absolutely be like, oh, if you're going to see it, make sure to see it in 3D.
Sure.
I had just as good, if not even a better experience on my second viewing. In 2D.
Yeah, although I would almost say that's just... I liked it better on the second viewing. Just in general.
I would agree with that
regardless of glasses or no glasses.
Sure.
Whatever. Anyway, though, let's talk about the movie itself.
Yes. Well, and before we even talk about the movie, should we talk about what came before the movie with Lou?
Lou, the short.
The short. I loved this short.
Me too. This is a really good one.
I would actually say that this is probably one of my favorite shorts, even down to like how the name...
Oh yeah, like Lost and Found. Yeah, so we have like this like hoodie baseball junk pile of a toy.
Right.
Like of a being returning toys to like this bully, or to the playground, and this bully kid taking stuff from kids.
Right. And I thought it was very clever, even though like all the different variations of all the different toys. So like you kept seeing it like reform based on like however the boy had just most recently tackled it out of its previous form.
Yeah, it was like you could tell they had so much fun coming up with the different ways they were gonna like reform this guy.
Oh, and the thing I feel like I was readily aware of, and it seemed like I would have to assume Hank helped create that character, Hank from Finding Dory.
Yeah, he kind of had the same eyes.
Same eyes and almost like a tentacular way of movement through the hoodie, which was I think like primarily like the body.
It also reminded me a lot of like Sid's toys.
Yes.
They're like all sort of like mismatched together but like still moving around.
While watching it, I was like, is there a theory to be made about how this could be young Sid right now?
He's like a little bit of a bully. He looks a little too pudgy.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I think the bigger issue is JJ doesn't translate to Sid in any way.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's true. Ooh, what does JJ translate to?
Theory.
That's for further investigation.
Right. All in all, we won't spend too much time on it, but I do think that was a fantastic short, and even that was one like I even looked on the second viewing. I looked forward to being able to watch it again.
Right, it was really good.
So that was cool.
Anyway, moving on. That's all we're going to talk about Lou. Cars 3. opening scene, they immediately take you back to Cars 1. It's almost the same.
Right, so you're basically inside the trailer with Lightning. He's going through like his like pre-race like psych up session. Thought it was good. It was almost even interesting how he like became self-aware. Like, man, is that what I really used to say? Like,
I thought it was weird he said used to say. It's like, you're still saying it right now. Presumably you've been saying it every race.
Right. That was one thing like where it was like, where did Cars 1 end and Cars 3 begin? Because there is almost that idea of like, you were starting that way, and do you go through every pre-race? Because we see him go through like several races in like that opening montage.
Even
like
later in the movie, he does the same self-pep talk when he's just training.
Right. Yeah. So it seems like it's got to be some part of like his methodical way of self-motivation, which I guess even we see them address in the movie.
I think it was just to get you, the audience, prepared for him to be like, I'm aging out of my younger self.
Right, yeah.
And then they do introduce the Doc Hudson thing, like, right away.
Right.
And he's, like, such a big character or influence in the movie.
Yeah.
So I like they set you up for it, like, boom, out of the gate. Doc, here.
Yeah, Doc is going to be, like, critical all throughout. Like, we're really, really, really going to feel that. And, I mean, it's something that we see. And what was really cool was actually how much footage they had of Doc still to use from that original movie, because of course, the actual voice actor isn't there. So the fact that we have
enough like voice of him to give you,
and I bet that was even like a creative challenge for the team, like writing it was like, how do we make what we have work with this script?
Right. I think it was easy. Sometimes there was like flashbacks, and it was like, oh yeah, this could easily have just been from Cars 1.
Right,
like, that would have just been happening in the present, and now he's just remembering it.
Right, it's like a deleted scene almost from Cars 1.
Right.
Yeah, he could have easily said it back then. No, it's very true like that, like all the sage advice that sort of popping. That
being said, so moving past the self-motivation, the full opening scene is very similar to Cars 1, where they show you the races and Lightning's out in front doing this thing. I will say it wasn't the same as, like, I like the Cars 1 opening more.
Yeah, I think, and I think it'll come out pretty quick that I did have some critiques of this movie, and starting with that sequence. Something about it felt a little bit odd. It's almost seemed like the trio of the top racers at this point in time, or maybe just like too chummy with one another. Like,
I agree. Yeah.
It seemed like I just have to assume that people like at the top of their sport, like even if you are on good terms with the other like people, it's not like, all right, man, I lost today. High five, congrats. Like,
right.
You are going to be bummed out of your mind.
Right. LeBron James isn't high-fiving Steph Curry after he drains a three.
Right.
In the middle of the championship. You
exactly.
know? Like, maybe they're friends off the court, but that's not happening in the game.
No. They are enemies on the court.
Exactly.
Even if they are friendly.
I think that was the difference, because the top three in Cars 1 are Strip Weathers and Chick Hicks, and they're like, they build the rivalry immediately. Like, you go and you're like, oh, I can't wait to see how this race ends, and I'm like, whenever we talk about cars and have to go through and find clips for the videos and stuff, if we start watching that scene, it'll be one of those where I'm like, oh crap, I'm just watching the movie now.
Right. Like, I just got sucked in.
got sucked in.
Yeah. This was more like they'd come around turn 3 and be like, all right, guys, who's got it today?
Yeah, everyone's just so great.
Yeah, so I feel like what they were trying to do was establish this baseline for like, how great is everything now until enter Jackson Storm.
Right. Also, well, this is a random critique. I guess he doesn't enter even racing until like middle of the season, which seems odd.
Seemed odd.
I don't know how that works in stock car racing.
Well, we have to almost throw that out the window altogether, because actual stock car racing requires everybody to be racing on the same set of
the exact same stock car.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that is pure like driving versus driving, not like this car is actually faster than that car, which was the case with Lightning, or not with Lightning, with Jackson.
Yeah.
But so that was the first thing I noticed. So like Jackson's first win, he sort of like comes out of nowhere and just blows. Like, where was he the rest of the race?
Why wasn't he winning the whole race?
Was he just like quietly sitting in the back, like?
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait. This is my coming out party. Zing!
Right. And then,
I guess that would be a fine explanation, I guess.
So yeah, I mean, that's not something that I would spend too much time on, and it makes more sense even from like a narrative standpoint to have him kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah. Also, I said this is my maybe number one complaint about the opening sequence. They use the Cal Weathers isn't good at comebacks joke 3 times in like 2 minutes.
Oh.
Like, you were like 4 minutes into the movie and you've heard the same joke 3 times.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. It's not even that funny.
Right. Do we know Cal Weathers enough to the point where we would like know him as this kind of like doofus character even?
No, yeah, I think they're just trying to establish that, but it's just like, I think there's different ways. And then he's not even like it's not like it comes into play later. It doesn't like resolve itself. I don't know. He's not like a big enough character in the whole movie for this. I don't know.
Yeah, the opening sequence was kind of strange, and all the way up until like kind of that crash. So like when we saw
about the crash,
well, we should spend time on the crash, because that was one of these things. Like when that first trailer came out, it's basically all we see is
right.
Like, lightning is fading fast, and then it's just like the slow crash, tumble, like gut wrench. I mean, like this is what I will say is that the trailer hit me with that scene so much better than the movie did.
Right. I think it was because like we've seen the trailer so many times that you're like, well, you know it's coming. Maybe you've seen it, but it also it feels like it happens a lot faster in the movie, and I guess you know there's so much movie left that it's not like he's actually dead.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Or, I don't know. But I will say, what they didn't put in the trailers that was in the movie that I thought was really impactful was they show him starting to crash, they cut to Sally, and she's sort of smiling, and then her face just goes... And, like, that moment was, like, actually more impactful to me than the rest of the crash, because you get the feeling like, yeah, Sally's in the pits for every single race. She's seen him this, you know, a regular crash might even be expected or common, but this, like, look of, like, real... Like, this is out of the ordinary. This is not a good crash kind of thing.
No, I can completely agree with that, but I think, the other odd thing about the crash is like, the way that it comes to happen is he blows a tire. Like, he just came out of the pits.
Right. It's weird that it's a tire.
And it's, especially just because, like, I think what they're trying to demonstrate is that, like, Lightning is seeing all of these next-gen racers come through. He just, like, literally can't keep pace with them. He's giving it, like, all he physically has. Like, and this is where you kind of go back to the idea of, like, oh, the car's alive. Like, this was him trying to make it work more than, like, the mechanical... like capacity of himself, and as a result, you know, he kind of like he blows the tire and then goes into this tumble. So it just seemed like a weird way to do it. It seemed like there could have been like a little bit more build up even throughout the race, like maybe getting the idea that he is just like sweating and you know,
like really out of breath or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Car sweat.
2 cars sweat.
Yeah. New video.
No. All right. So we'll move past that.
So then we're at Radiator Springs, where apparently Lightning has Elsa'd himself into Doc Hudson's garage for 4 months.
Where I mean, like, are him and Sally like together or what? Because I mean, yes, they are, but like, I felt like it was an underwhelming relationship between the two, and. The movie doesn't rely on a love story, which is I'm very happy about. Like, it's obviously one of those things that Pixar's good about doing, is not requiring that for the story to go on. But like, Sally comes in and it just doesn't, it feels more like she's his best friend, or like maybe they were running into this issue where they didn't know where to use Mater and where to use Sally.
Sally is, like, a lot of her lines are really funny. And it's like, I think she almost came across to me as funnier than Mater, because when you see Mater, you're like, oh, here comes a bucket of laughs.
Oh, right,
you know,
right.
Whereas when Sally comes in, you're just like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to get.
Right. Well, she was a little bit, like, you know, sarcastic, and she does, you know, beat him up pretty good about, like, the space that he's living in.
That was a really funny scene.
Yeah. Because she normally calls him stickers, and she calls him, like, stinky.
Yeah.
That was pretty spot on moment. But on the note of Mater, I feel like they got back to where Mater belongs in these movies.
I agree.
I thought that was well done. I laughed at all the Mater lines.
Yep.
You know, he was back to that endearing character.
I will say, throughout this entire movie, it seemed to me basically they were like, Cars 2 didn't even happen. This was just like Cars 1, Cars 3. What? I don't know what happened there.
Right.
Did it happen?
I'm super interested in going back and watching Cars 1 and then watching Cars 3 just like back to back and seeing if like where that pocket of time happens in between and if it affected anything at all.
There's no Finn McMissile. There's no Holly. I really thought there's a post-credit scene where Mater is like on a phone call And I kept thinking this will be like the one little nod. They're just like, oh yeah, Mater and Holly are still a thing.
Right.
Nope.
We are not referencing
We are not referencing Cars 2. Nope.
I think that was a conscious.
I think so. That was pretty conscious. Radiator Springs, though, we don't see a ton of it, but the one thing I did appreciate, they made the background just like real faded and gray and still. And I think that just did a real good job of like reflecting Lightning's like age. Yeah, like not just him, like the whole town, you know.
Right. Well, and I think like that imagery was, I noticed it too, and I thought the imagery was like nicely done because they keep making these like cracks at Lightning about being like this old racer and everything, but like he's still pretty sparkly. Like you know, like so they weren't doing it physically to Lightning, or even really I think like when they put Lightning right up next to Jackson, like I wasn't having this like, oh yeah, like you can really see the difference between these cars and like how this one is all shiny and new and smart and efficient, and how Lightning is sort of like old and irregularly shaped and not aerodynamic. Like that was I think that's fine because they did it like with this background imagery where you were sort of feeling like everywhere. Actually, and I would say they even did it with like Mac versus Jackson's like very efficient looking, you know, all-in-one trailer movie.
Yeah, that was a cool looking. His trailer was cool looking.
It was very cool. It was very cool. So the way that they got the age out there was kind of neat. One last comment about Radiator Springs. So when he goes on the call and he's kind of like making the announcement that he's going to like have his best season yet, that was one scene that I felt like they were going for this misdirection. Like after long and careful thought, I've decided I'm going to have my best season yet, guys. It's like,
it was a little of a sports movie cliche to be like, no, I'm going to do the best ever.
Right. But, yeah. It seemed like, what has happened that has led you to believe, like after this horrifying crash and spending 4 months in a shed without paint on, that the next thing...
All of a sudden is going to... Yeah, you're going to come out guns blazing? Right. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it seems like your confidence would be at a pretty low...
Yeah. The other thing, this bothered me a little, is that they're like 4 months later, and then it's like 2 weeks until the first race of the next season, and during that time, Lightning is supposed to do enough training to overcome Jackson Storm.
Right.
And this is like 2 weeks? Like, no.
Right.
No?
Yeah.
It'd be like asking like basically like a 40-year-old guy to be like, oh man, 20-year-olds can run fast. Give me 2 weeks.
I'll be there. I'll be there. Right. Like even the trip from Radiator Springs to the Rusty's training center looked like days past.
Yeah.
So like he spent like 3 days
in transit
to his 2-week training program. And so let's just dive right on into the to the Rusty's training center, which I thought was really interesting. Because of, like, so we have Cruz introduced, who I thought was, like, a really cool character, and they even seem to do a good job of, like, showing this trainery type thing, like, because if you ever go to the gym and you have a trainer, they're usually, like, a very, very fit person that is between you and someone who is professional.
Sure.
If that makes sense. They are more fit than you in the class, but not as fit as someone who does it, like, on the extreme level.
That's true. But so, she was, like, treating Lightning like he had never been to a gym before.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, that was the interesting thing, and where I was even wondering, like, you know, we see Sterling, who is, like, his new manager, and you're trying to determine whether or not, like, he's a good guy or a bad guy, or has his best interest at heart, whether or not he's actually a huge fan by having, like, all of these, all this, like, memorabilia stuff. But then, you know, he is also presumably in charge of Cruz, who is putting together his training program, which is just so basic.
Yeah, that part, it didn't really add up to me. That's like one of the disconnects there where I feel like I'm glad like the background did a good job of reflecting his age and stuff, because like it's so dumb that this trainer would come up to this professional athlete in whatever their world is and be like, you need to take it so slow. Like the guy just was finishing the Piston Cup. You know, he's won it a bunch of times. He knows what he's doing.
Right. And so we can, I feel like we can almost even take that and jump it forward quite a bit, because it was almost like an overarching question I had about the movie as a whole, or something I had about the entire like length of it, was what I really wanted to happen was Cruise's very like basic, almost fundamental like movement-y type exercises and everything.
Like new age training to like start meshing with his like old school
grit.
Yeah. That's what I kind of wanted to happen too.
Yeah, like because when Lightning's first introduced, he's almost just like raw talent, and then he meets Doc, who kind of shows him this like grassroots, old school style of training, which sort of he adopts as like his way of life. Right.
So then here he comes in and meets this like new wave training, and you're like, okay, that's still different from what he's already known. How can they work together? And so, yeah, I expected, just Lightning's way to confuse Cruise, just Cruise's way to confuse Lightning. But I think when they got to the Thomasville track, I almost expected Lightning to be showing her how to do stuff and her being like, okay, but why don't you take the turn from here instead? And, and then him to be like, oh, wow, I'm like 3 seconds faster this lap.
Right.
I'm like, oh, look, numbers and grit.
Exactly. And because they reference it a bunch. We've got like this numbers girl that keeps coming on to the scene. Natalie Certain. And she keeps talking about how Jackson's so fast because he can take the perfect line and everything. So you can completely almost even see like where they were teeing it up for that exact situation to happen.
Or maybe that's the red herring. That's what you think's going to happen because of course eventually Cruise is the one who does the racing herself.
Right. So that was an interesting thing. Let's talk about Cruise as a character a little bit.
I liked Cruise.
I thought Cruise was a really, really cool character. It was a really interesting concept, like how they inserted it in there, sort of what her backstory was, how she sort of almost has this mental block against her ability. Like she wasn't physically incapable of competing. She was like mentally incapable of competing.
Yeah. The scene where immediately following the demolition derby, which we talk about too, where Lightning is just like looking at her and she's like, oh, look, I've got a trophy. And he's just like so mad. He just is like, oh, just a bad mood. I love that scene where he just like starts yelling at her. And then, I mean, it's like a mean scene a little bit, but it's at the same time, like you see where he's coming from. Like everyone's treating him like crap. And this old man, he's like, I am out driving all of you right now, and I am trying to win a race, and you are not doing it.
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, it is crazy sometimes how like those anger moments, and you see it all the time in movies. Like anytime you can like feel the emotion that the character's feeling, that means they've like accomplished what they were going for with it. It's like oozing out of him in those moments.
Oh yeah, you can really feel it. I feel like it like trickles into the audience. But then Cruise totally throws it in his face.
Yes. Yeah, and you get this like. That's when you get like that her backstory,
which I really like the backstory. Although I feel like there was a missed opportunity for them to like Jesse's song you there with like a flashback or something.
Yes, exactly. Like what I think the way that scene could have been like a little bit more powerful is have her start explaining like in voice to Lightning and then show us the audience like the sequence.
Yeah, like what happens. Because I felt like that was a real potential tear-jerky kind of moment there.
Right. Like how this like young racer has like all of the potential in the world and how like when she actually gets there, she just can't like muster the courage to go.
Right, yeah. Like that just got to get over that block. But oh well, it was still good. Still a good scene. It still like really starts making you root for Cruise.
Absolutely.
More. Yeah. You want her to succeed.
You can really start to see that character build. Diving back just a smidge to the Derby scene. That was one of those where I liked it and I thought it was like a pretty like fun, cool scene and concept.
Yeah.
The one thing that I actually felt like they touched on it in a way, but like how I would have done it, was I feel like we should have seen Lightning demonstrate his ability in there.
Right. Because they even call back to it later. Smokey's like, oh, it's interesting. You don't have a scratch on you. Yeah. And like they show him outmaneuvering sort of the other cars, but it's not like in a real obvious, he's so much better as a professional driver than these guys.
Right.
You know?
Like, and even the fact like Cruise goes on to win it, I think like what would have worked really well was almost show like Lightning getting out there and at first being like really like freaked out, but then just sort of like doing the drifting and sort of working his way through the crowd, and then ultimately losing because he saves Cruise, and then so she's the last man standing because he was able to move and she couldn't get out of the mud.
Right. It's almost like if you saw like an NBA player go to some like crazy street ball court where they do all like the crazy stuff.
Right.
And it's you expect those guys to be creative and different and like it's a different kind of basketball, but you expect this guy's still better.
Right. At the end of the day,
At the end of the day, this guy's a professional and he's still way better than you guys, even if it's a little different and weird.
Right. That is the perfect way to put it, I think. But so then, I guess, developing further into meeting Smokey, and we've got, we're starting to get back to how Lightning can find new sage advice. Like, if like the new state-of-the-art technology is not what it is, how does he go even further back than Hudson, to find himself and get good again?
Yeah.
How did you feel about, like, Smokey, the crew, that training montage?
Couple of things. One, Smokey, I like Smokey, but having done so much research and learned to like about the real character who was based on Smokey Eunuch, I almost didn't feel like Smokey himself was quite wily enough. Maybe like the real guy was just this crazy rule breaking sort of I got all sorts of crazy ideas, guy.
Right.
And Smokey was just regular sage old wise man.
Sure.
Then there's the other legend that really stood out, I think, was Louise Barnstormer Nash, because she was the female character that could relate to Cruz.
Sure.
And well, we talked about this a little bit. I think there's like, would you say there was like a feminism arc sort of happening there, or was it like, I don't know.
I know exactly what you're saying, where there was a little bit of like a. I would say that it was well done overall.
I would agree, yeah.
But there was that hint of like the girl power feeling to it.
Right.
Where you've sort of got like a league of entirely like male characters, and like you see Cruz kind of come in like midway through a race unexpectedly, being the only female against a group of racers who have never been beaten, and then goes on to win.
Right.
And then again you have Natalie Certain, the numbers girl.
Yeah.
She like makes
she does make the comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess maybe the way they tee it up though is that like as if Louise has like gone ahead and broken like the glass ceiling ahead of time.
Right.
And now like Cruz is like, they keep saying you don't belong here, but it came across more to me like not because you're a woman, because you're a trainer. Right. Like you're just not good enough.
Right.
And it was like, nope, it doesn't matter that she's a girl. It's just because she's not a professional racer, but she still wins.
And I think that's where Pixar nailed it with that particular concept and didn't make it like overly messagey. It was well done enough where like they were like, yes, there is that reason, but we're not going to be like, no, you can't compete because you're a girl. It's going to be because of that trainer concept. So I thought that was well executed.
Of course, we're just two white dudes talking about feminism. So let us know what you think in the comments. If you've seen it, what you thought of that, or was it present for you? Did you think it was well done? I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I think that good basis for conversation with that one.
I agree.
Okay, so let me go a little bit into kind of training on that dirt track, and where you start to see Lightning really truly in his mind get back into a position of like training. So you've got this concept where like he didn't arrive to do like his trial lap in Florida, so he's going to have to start like way behind the pack. So you see kind of this sequence as he's like developing these new abilities, kind of like in the old school method again.
Right, racing with the tractors, dodging the hay bales, driving in the woods.
Exactly. And, trying to catch up with Cruz over and over and over again, and like losing. And you can kind of chalk it up the entire time to starting so far back, and he's only got 3 laps to catch up.
Right.
With that, we see this scene where we go back to like the Doc Hudson era, and you see Smokey explain to Lightning that like the greatest time in his life wasn't racing.
Right, it was mentoring. Right.
And so I feel like what we're leaning towards is like what will ultimately become the outcome of the movie, which is Lightning
is going to mentor Cruz. And I think you get the feeling that's going to happen in some way, like, because throughout the whole thing, like, even as soon as they start training on the beach, he's like immediately mentoring her, like, this is how I need to train you to train me.
Exactly.
You know, this is how you drive on beaches, and this is how you turn in dirt, and stuff like that.
So in the beginning, he's purely doing it like for his own purposes.
Right.
Like, he's not trying to like make her better. He's trying to make him better by making her better.
Right. And she's almost like training with him just so that she can act as the storm decoy for him to chase down. But it's like she's beating him every step of the way.
Right. And every time she starts to take on some of those old school methods, just making her a much, much stronger racer, because prior to that, she had basically never raced outside at all.
Pretty much.
So with that, like, you know, you're kind of getting this idea that like Lightning needs to be coming to terms with the fact that like maybe he isn't fit to be racing anymore, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have anything left to offer to the sport. And so you see this final lap where Lightning finally catches Cruz.
Right.
Kind of blows past her, and you're like, oh, right. Like, you know, he
did it. Training paid off.
Right. And then immediately after, Cruz is like, nope, I still have fifth gear, blows past him.
Yeah.
And you get to the finish line, and everybody's almost just like awestruck. Cruz is going over and like ripping donuts, and it's like, it takes all the wind out of Lightning's sail.
Right. It's like he's been fighting everyone to like, let me go do this kind of training, and he finally does it, and he improves, and he gets better, and he catches her, and then nothing. Still not enough. And it's like he knows right then, like, I can't do it.
Right. Yeah. There's not enough left in me to where I'm going to, like, I can't even beat like my trainer at this point.
Right.
And I think this was the moment like where I really wish he came around. Like I almost want it to be this moment where like everybody's awestruck, everybody's like jaw dropped, and you don't know how they're going to react. Like I almost want Lightning in that moment to decide like,
now is when I'm going to be your mentor.
I need to be the mentor. And instead it's like he takes this moment away from Cruz, and he doesn't have any confidence from it at all. And so it's like, from there, it's like, instead of ending your training sequence with that, like, you know, top of the stairs punching the air type moment, it was more of a like tripping on the third to last step.
Well, yeah, and it seems like
then going to the big fight.
Yeah, because the switch mid-race from Lightning to Cruz feels like a little convoluted. Like, you're like, can they even do that? Like,
right.
Like, is that allowed? Why wouldn't you all just sub in a second car, because they'd be fresh, right?
Right.
It's like, I don't know. It feels a little odd. I think this is where I wish, they maybe played with the timing. Like, maybe instead of this, everything leading up to this one race at the beginning, like, I almost thought it'd be better if like this rivalry was developing between Jackson and Lightning throughout the course of the season. Sure. You know, and like he keeps trying new stuff, can't do it, and then, you know, he comes here and Cruz can, or even if they'd been able to race together at the same time. Right.
Well, and yeah, so, okay, like, you talk about this concept of, like, how do you make a slower car beat a faster car? And it's like, I think in the past, what you were seeing was, like, all of these characters that were finding, like, very unique ways, like, Doc would, like, flip over the other car in order to, like, shock everybody, or he learned how to drift when nobody else was drifting and would take that last turn just fast enough to, like, beat everybody. So I feel like what they even keep hinting at is drafting is going to be like this thing. Like, it's not every man for himself anymore. It's let's go out there, work as a team. Right. And it's like they tee it up so nicely because they even show you Doc using drafting, but like only to just pass the guy in front of him, not to work as a team with anyone. Right. Like you can almost see it where they're like, okay, let's not use it aggressively. Let's use it as teamwork to help you get past them. Even if you were going to throw it back to that initial like opening sequence, which would, like we kind of described as a little too chummy, how much more sense would it make if you have these three best buds who are like the last standing, like original, like OG drivers, right, overcoming the next gen drivers by like working as a, like actually working as a team, right? Like where they almost felt like as a team, like where they were like the top tier in the beginning. Like it would have made sense for it to take it a step further and be like, and that's where I again think it would have made more sense for it to be over the course of a season. Where, like, you could have seen, like, oh, they figured it out. They're going to try this thing. Right. And then, like, still doesn't work. Like, or, like, one of them gets in a crash, and now Cruz has to come on. Right. And, you know, and that's the thing. And then I still
I pretty much, by the time you get to the race, you almost know, like I would have expected the plan for me to Cruz to drift Lightning into first. And then for him to be like, it's not going to work. I'm not fast enough. I'm going to have to do it to you.
Right. And that would have been like the ultimate moment where it's like, where they're almost riding second, third with each other. And like Lightning knows, I can't win. You can.
Right. I need to slingshot you into first.
Right.
Sort of thing.
And so, okay, so let's take it a step further. So we end up having this like weird situation where Lightning sort of trades places mid-race, which means like since he started the race, he technically still won. So his like handshake agreement with Sterling means like he won the race, so he gets to choose when he quits.
Yeah. And he says, "Oh, I'm going to keep racing."
Why?
Yeah, it's like, first of all, yeah, it's like, yeah, and then I guess he still does, but he's got the new paint job now.
Well, and that's the thing. We were talking about it afterwards, and it seemed like maybe the new paint job meant that like he wasn't gonna continue to race because like he can't be racing as I don't know.
And it's like I'm not sure they've quite solved the problem yet. Like just because Cruz won that race does not all of a sudden mean the two of you are at the top of the sport. Like Lightning is still gonna have a really hard time, week in and week out, beating Jackson Storm,
right? Like
anyone.
He's still not, he's still not going to be able to fully compete without that teamwork method, like we talked about. And it just seemed like the entire point of the movie was like, and they put it in a few different layers. Like they say that like Lightning wants to race because of like his pure heart for the sport, which is better than wanting to race for like the fame, the glory.
Right.
Like he's like, no, like the reward is racing. It's not all the stuff. But then I feel like what Smokey takes it one step further is that the reward is the coaching. Right. You know, it's being the influence. It's being able to have had your time and then helping somebody else have theirs. Right. And so you get that moment in this kind of like trading hands way. And then he says, I'm still going to race. And it's so isn't the whole point that like he's supposed to find new meaning in how he can be related to the sport?
Like, nah, I'm just supposed to find a new paint job. That's it.
New paint job. Okay.
Let's go back to Radiator Spring and do some laps.
Right. So let's I would say like my last little bit of conversation on the topic would be, what do you think about the paint job? He coming out as like the fabulous Lightning McQueen.
Okay, they show it and you're like, man, that is a little on the nose. But then one of the characters is even like, subtle.
Right, yeah.
So you're like, okay, they get it too.
Right. Like
even the characters know.
It seemed like even, it was a very self-aware moment where it was kind of like, it's a little bit far. Because like, you know, it's not like Doc Hudson, after he retired, traded in his look to be like Smokey. Yeah. You know, so like, Lightning almost has like his own legacy now. Like he is the most current Doc Hudson. Right. So like his paint job in history is just as iconic as the fabulous Hudson Hornet.
Right, yeah, so like you would almost expect, like why wouldn't he just stay red? Right. You know, you'd expect Cruz to retire and then have a Lightning paint job then.
Exactly, right? Yeah, it's like, does everybody kind of like toss back to the...
Yeah, if they keep going with cars, they better do that then.
Right.
I don't want to see Cruz roll out the fabulous Cruz Ramirez.
Oh, right. That would be too far with it. Okay, so then all in all, I feel like we spend more... All in all. By and large. Segways and such.
Segways. Easter eggs. Did you see any Easter eggs? I saw a few.
Yes. So they were much more clear with A113.
Oh yeah, it was like right here in your face.
Yeah, so you can't...
on Sterling's door.
Yep, can't possibly miss that. I would say Pizza Planet Truck.
Demolition Derby.
The
Luxo Ball was also in the Demolition Derby.
Yeah, so I missed it the first time. You told me where it was, and then I missed it the second time.
Oh man. There was another Luxo reference. The billboard, the company that makes the billboards was Luxco.
Saw
that.
That's pretty good. It's a pretty good one.
Jocko Flacco.
Mac you called that one from like a mile out.
Yep. Mac dresses up in a Jocko Flacco costume.
So explain that in case people haven't seen it.
Jocko Flacco was a monkey that used to sit sidecar in a Hudson Hornet when they used to race them. So
sort of just like a fun nod.
Nod to the Hudson Hornet histories.
Yeah.
Coco, you saw on the treadmill screen.
Yes, yeah. So that was one I was like, that's going to be so tricky to like toss in there because the Cars world does seem slightly less similar to all of the other worlds. Yep. But that was a very, very good way to do it. They just basically had like a Spanish racer who
Yep.
You know, like, think
Thinking
about
of
home.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did. And then the only other one, I'm not even sure, I need to see it again. It just occurred to me. It was during the travel scene. They're going past some mountains and you can see a little structure at the bottom. And I was like, oh my God, is that Arlo's house?
Yeah. I saw you see it in the theater where like I was like, what is he seeing? And like, I want to go back and see it.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Frustration of not having a pause button.
I'm not sure if it was like supposed to literally be his house or just like a nod to it because it looks sort of like Clawtooth Mountain-y, but obviously a lot of time has passed.
Right. Yeah. It would be pretty difficult for that to be a.
But it was a similar. It was like an A-frame log house at the bottom of a big mountain. So I was like, well, I don't know.
Right. But I would say like a lot of the scenery as they had them like moving through like the United States. It did seem like they threw back to a little bit of that styling from The Good Dino, like where you had like the ultra realistic trees and like environment and everything, like where it was super hyper detailed and everything was like crystal clear and beautiful.
Yep.
So one way or another, I feel like The Good Dinosaur influenced those moments, even if it's not like actually Arlo structure back there. But we'll have to go back and see.
Okay.
So I think my question then at this point would be, where do you rank it? Where does it rank amongst the Cars movies? Where does it rank amongst the Pixar movies?
Oh boy, two big questions. Amongst the Cars movies, I'm going to say I think it is the best Cars movie.
Okay. I do think that I agree. And I feel like that was really a contest between
Cars and Cars
3.
Yeah, Cars 2 is not really even up for debate.
Yeah, I don't think that was one where people would contest it.
And then as far as overall ranking, I went back and looked at my list. I think I'm putting it at 12 overall out of 18 now. So that puts it ahead of Cars, Cars 2, The Good Dinosaur, Brave, and Monsters University.
Okay. Man, see, I'm not going to have my list in front of me to know what I put it in front of. I know that it is very, very similar. I think mine landed just ahead of Cars at the number 11 spot. And so almost
something else back there too.
Almost cracked the top 10.
Bug's Life or
I think A Bug's Life is behind it for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought it was a very, very good movie. And I guess my score out of 10 would probably land it somewhere between like 7.5 to 8 range.
Okay, I was thinking more like maybe like 7.2.
7.2?
I was thinking 7.2.
If I had to pull a number out of there.
I'd say it's 72.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. So it's, definitely a good new one to dissect. And I feel like there is going to be a lot of really interesting, like, overall Pixar, like, dilution to take from this in terms of, like, the Pixar theory and
there's some Pixar theory stuff in there, but we'll talk about that in another video for sure.
Yeah,
no doubt. But otherwise, let us know what you thought about Cars 3 in the towel section down below. Where does it rank amongst your favorite Pixar movies? Was it anyone's favorite Pixar movie? That would be interesting.
That would be super interesting.
Yeah, that'd be good to know. But otherwise, do you have anything else?
I think that's everything.
All right. Well, then I'll see you in a little bit.